Alrighty, how's it going? My name is Mason DuPree. Welcome back to the channel. If you haven't seen this channel before, like most of you probably haven't, this is a new channel that I'm starting as a branch off from my main channel that kind of goes into the technical aspects of setting up some of this marketing stuff that I've been talking about on my main channel, but also just providing basically GoHighLevel tutorials. This is just almost, in my opinion, basically an affiliate account, just because I do use GoHighLevel every single day. I have several people that I work with currently. I have access to about 3 different GoHighLevel accounts at the moment, actually 4. And on top of that, I use it every day. I've used it for the past 2 years. I've used it for my own agency, and I have some pretty detailed knowledge, very niche information that I think it was stuff that I was looking for that I couldn't find, that now I'm gonna make videos on and provide for you guys. Because sometimes some of the more technical tutorials can just be missing from the internet and from YouTube. And so for that reason, I want to make this channel and sort of share things. Today's topic is on setting up subdomain email accounts. So, what is a subdomain? A subdomain is basically, if you're looking on the screen here, like with this domain, my domain is odigoleads.com, and the subdomain is email.odigoleads.com. And that can be anything. So you can see here I've got hello and I've got info. The reason you want to set up subdomains is because they have their own unique domain reputation. Now, if you've ever heard of domain reputation, then you may be a better understanding of what I'm talking about, but I'm gonna go ahead and explain it just in case. Domain reputation, when it comes to email, is essentially a reputation. So like for Gmail or for Microsoft Teams or for Yahoo, AOL, whatever it is that you're sending to, your domain from which that email is being sent from has a reputation between all of these receiving inboxes. And if you have a poor reputation, that's how you end up in the spam box, which means you're not landing in front of your customers, your cold leads that you're probably paying for, scraping and doing all that. You're probably paying a good amount of money. You really want to make sure that these are valid emails and that you're hitting the inbox, right? And there's several different things that can impact your domain reputation. If you're sending massive amounts of emails every day with no reply, if you're doing sketchy things like sending emails with just images in them, if you're not following some of the regulatory rules, which is like always giving them a way to opt out, or at least suggesting it in the text, you don't actually have to have an unsubscribe button. Like all these little different things can affect and impact your domain reputation. And then by result, basically impact your ability to land inside of your customers or even clients' inboxes. So for that reason, you want to build subdomains. Each one of these subdomains would have their own unique domain reputation. So let's say, for whatever reason, that I burn up this email account right here. For some reason, maybe the system wasn't set up right. It blasted 10,000 emails and that email got burned, essentially, and the domain reputation is poor. I can create new ones. Now, there is a warm-up process. So just nowadays with Instagram and Facebook or anything, where you're doing organic social, there's a limit to what you can do. You can't just go out and follow 1,000 people in one day. You have to warm up your account. Same thing with email domain reputation. You have to send, and there's got to be some positive feedback. There's got to be some people replying, and it's not necessary. All these things are dynamic. So many people send so many different emails for so many different reasons that they have to allow a little bit of wiggle room, right? It doesn't mean that every email you send has to have a reply, but like how unique are their replies? How often they're replying? Are people clicking on links that you're sending them? All that kind of stuff helps factor into your domain reputation. Now, there are services that can go out there and, like similar to organic social, can warm up your accounts for you. So if you've got a follow for follow, I know that used to be an old thing in Instagram where it's like you could set up this thing and it was like, I will follow 100 people in a day and it'll spool up over time periods. Basically, there's certain platforms like that can warm up your emails and your domain reputation to kind of help you get really good domain reputation off the bat. Or you can just start sending slowly, send organically, send 5 emails a day per email account that you have. Just slowly spool up from there and you should be fine. Another caveat I want to mention with GoHighLevel is that sometimes you'll look at deliverability results, which you'll be able to see in the workflow tab. If you go to workflow and it's an email drip campaign, there'll be a way of seeing basically the email deliverability analytics. Those are completely false. You should not take them as any truth whatsoever. I did when I first started and I was like, that's abnormally high. I was like, there's no way our deliverability is that high. And what's happening is a lot of the email receiving inbox systems are actually getting wise to the warming process. They're getting used to methods of tracking email deliverability. So what they'll usually do to be able to track deliverability is they'll put what they call a pixel in your email. I know that there's obviously like the Facebook pixel, don't conflate the two. They are actually very similar though, in that basically in your email there'd be a little pixel that's loaded as an image or whatever to basically tell whether or not the email was opened. And that's how you get open rates. But these days, all of these email receivers, Gmail, Microsoft, all of them, all preload the email to scrape it, to basically understand the context and is it spam, is it not spam, in which case they end up firing that pixel. And so the deliverability is actually basically 100%. That's because the bots are always looking at it. It doesn't necessarily mean that a human is actually looking at it. And so I'm sure that there will be some solution that comes up at some point for that. In the meantime, really what you just have to do is do the best you can to be a good steward of your domain's reputation. Make sure that you're not sending too much too fast, making sure that you're sending emails that follow the rules. You can obviously just go ask ChatGPT, like, what are the rules for cold email, like in terms of deliverability, reputation? How can I make sure my emails are reputable and look like they're good? Not sending the same emails 1,000 times, like having variation in the email text, and that could be just as much as changing the name all the way to changing the entire email per lead that receives it. But anyway, that's a big spiel on email deliverability. Now, connecting that directly to GoHighLevel, when you first get a GoHighLevel account, they don't really mention it. There's no like how to set up email setup. And it's actually a semi-complicated topic, as we've just talked about. And so for that reason, I think that it would actually cause a lot of friction for people to adopt the account. And so for that reason, they don't mention it and they don't really talk about it. But it is something that's really important. And for those who are technical, they go and make sure that they set it up first from the beginning. Because the worst thing you'd have is having paid traffic going in, submitting lead forms, and then you're emailing them, but you're not delivering because you're using the default domain reputation. So every new GoHighLevel sub account will actually use the Mailgun default domain. The problem with that is that everyone that has a new account has the default email domain, and they're probably not following their domain reputation rules, right? And they're probably not doing the best things they can to protect it. And so that domain is like almost trash, right? I'm not sure even how they delineate between new accounts and all that stuff. But anyway, you don't want to be sending from the default domain. So you need to be sending from your own domain. So for me, and I'm going to get into this, I don't know why, this platform is a pain in the ass, but basically every different domain purchasing platform will be a little different. Most common is GoDaddy. I would recommend going through GoDaddy. It's got a little bit of an easier interface for adding domain reputation. For some reason, I picked the shitty one and I have this Ionis thing. Anyway, I'll show you guys kind of the back end of my DNS records. I may have to blur some things, we'll see. But anyway, I'm going to go into the DNS settings. Now, if you've never heard of DNS settings, it's basically how you can build subdomains. It's how you can attach this domain to a website that you're building in a funnel inside of GoHighLevel or anything like that. It's a little bit detailed, but don't worry, it looks daunting, but it's really not. It's actually very simple. So today I want to show you guys just how to establish your own subdomain, at least one, and then once you've seen that once, you can do it as many times as you want to create as many domains as you need. Again, there's a warming process to all new subdomains, so you can't just keep remaking subdomains and frying them. I would protect your domain reputation, and I think there's even an extra layer of identification they have now, which is IP addresses. And so if your server is always hosted on the same IP address and they see all of the emails coming from the same IP address, just different subdomains, then it may at some point decide that that IP address is actually bad. And then you shut down your whole domain thing. But that is at like a large volume. We're talking like 150,000 emails right now. If you're below that, you don't have to worry about that. And we can get into that later. But anyway, domain configuration. So let's go ahead and set up a subdomain. So let's say for this instance, these are actually my cold emails. My cold email domains. So email.odigaleads.com, hello.odigaleads.com, and info are all of my cold email. Basically, the reason I named them that way is because I wanted them to seem not fishy. I want them to be readable and understandable and not some weird combobulation of numbers and letters, because I want the receiver to understand what it is that they're actually getting an email from. And if you actually look at any major email provider, you'll look and you'll see that it's coming from a subdomain of the main domain. And as long as you're sending from your main domain and that matches exactly to like the reputable one that people have seen before and recognize, then you're not gonna have a problem. But trying not to name these weird things that would, cause red flags in people's minds. I've seen people do like EM1, that'd be email 1, email 2, email 3, all the way up to email 10, right? You could do that, but then again, it's a little weird. What is EM10 at or .odigaleads.com? Is it something that's trying to pretend like they're odigaleads.com, right? You want to just give them a decent name that doesn't raise red flags. Now, I've already set up my cold emails, as you can see here, but I want to go ahead and walk through the process of setting up another email domain. And this one's going to be support. So this one's going to be internally for me. So we'll go over here, we'll add a domain, and we're going to do support. Now, you can make this whatever you want right here in the front. Sorry, it's the first time typing today. There we go, support.odigaleads.com. So that is the domain I want to add. I'm going to go ahead and click add and verify. And what you'll get prompted is instructions to establish that subdomain within your DNS records. Now, sometimes they make it super easy and it's almost a one-click add, and you can continue and you can set it up that way, or you can add them manually. Today, I'm gonna add them manually, because worst case, you're gonna have to add them manually. Best case, you'll have a much easier time and you won't even have to do any of the stuff that we're about to talk about. But I want to show you how to do it the hard way, just in the event that you end up having to do it the hard way. And you just click add records manually, and then it shows you what records you have to add to your DNS. Now, again, try not to get too, wigged out or confused here. Like, it's really simple. It's just copy and paste. Once we get through this next 2 minutes, you're gonna be like, oh, this is dumb easy. So whatever your hosting provider is for your domain, you're gonna go there and you're gonna access your domains DNS records. I'm gonna go ahead and click add, and I'm gonna add the first record. So if we go over here, it's gonna be a text record, and we're gonna copy this, and we're gonna copy that, right? So we're gonna go in here, we're gonna go to text, all right? And then, forgive me, I'm gonna do this in a different kind of order than you would normally do it. Usually you go back, copy, go back, paste, go back, copy, go back, paste. I have a tool that allows me to copy and paste multiple things at a time. The value was this, and then the host name was that. So if I go back, I'll show you. So there's the type text, and then you've got the host name, pick, domain key, and then value is this series of numbers, right? Or letters. And so there you go, text, pick underscore domain, and then this is that other part we placed in right there. So that's just adding the first record. We're gonna go ahead and click save. And boom, you've added your first text record. Now we're gonna go back in, we're gonna add the next text record. So you're gonna click text, go back over here, support, and they're gonna grab this. Same deal, just gonna paste that in there. We're gonna grab that other one, support, paste that there, and save. Now the next records are gonna be the CNAME. So we're gonna go ahead and click add record, CNAME. We'll go over here and we'll copy this. Now this gets really repetitive. Like I knew it's gonna be CNAME because there's always two text, there's actually three text, and we'll get to that in a second. 3 text records. I'll get to the third one at the end, a CNAME and then 2 MX records. So we're gonna go ahead and copy the CNAME here, paste that in, this one, there we go. Double check, email.support, mailgun.org. Oh, cancel. There we go, email, all right. So double check here because I clicked the X button there and it threw me off. There we go. And like I said, for some of the other DNS record hosting providers, this is a little bit simpler, but I don't know what this bum platform is. I would recommend not buying your thing through here because it's just a little hectic. It's a little confusing. Anyway, I'm gonna put that in there. And then we're gonna get our support, put it there. And I actually know that there's an MXA and an MXB record. I'm gonna go ahead and just intuitively know that we're gonna add another MX record. It's gonna be the MXB record, and it is for support. And I'll look back over at the other one just to show you guys. So if we go back over here, last record is an MX support MXB as compared to an MXA. And we're gonna click save. Now there's one more record I wanna add, and that is called DMARC. So DMARC, I'm gonna be honest, not totally sure what it does, but I do know that it heightens your domain reputation if you have it. So go ahead and add a DMARC record for each of these. You can see that I have ones for the .email, .hello, and .info here. I need to come here and grab these to paste. I'm gonna go ahead and just quote unquote edit the record so I can copy that. There we go. And we'll add the next one. So DMARC record is text, and then we're gonna paste in the value, and then we're gonna paste in the dmarc.info, but we're gonna change that to support. So if you don't know how to set up this DMARC record, go ask ChatGPT, okay, I need to set up a DMARC record for this domain. This is the email I want to forward the reports to. So DMARC will actually send you reports to your email domain. For what reason, I still don't know. But anyway, you put the email you want to receive those reports to in this part of the record. Now again, if you ask ChatGPT, they're going to print this out for you, value DMARC. You can set these like quarantine, all kinds of other things. You can have it explain to you what the DMARC point of it is. But anyway, I just know that it helps with your domain reputation, and so I set it up for all my subdomains. Anyway, that's the DMARC .support, save. And we're gonna go back over to GoHighLevel, and we're gonna click verify records. And you'll even see that even though it only suggested 5 records, it did also pick up does at some point pick up the DMARC, there it is. So we have two text types, then we have the CNAME, 2 MX types, and then another text type, which is the DMARC. You can see they've already verified. Now this could take up to 10, 15, maybe even 30 minutes sometimes. So if you don't see it verified, or if you click verify domain and it isn't verified yet, just keep going back into the menu. So you'll click verify domains. It's gonna work for me here, but there you go. So we've already added it, support.odigaleads.com, cool. Now, when you're creating a header for this, the default header, we'd go in here and we click set header. And basically this is gonna be the default, like who is this email from? Or who's this email on the behalf of or whatever. So right now I'm gonna do just Mason DuPree, and I'm gonna do Mason at support.odigaleads.com. Now I can use that as the sending email for all of my internal communication with clients. Maybe not new leads and customers, but clients. And so these ones are for cold leads and new customers, and then this one right here is for internal communication. That way these guys can go out and get burned, and it's not gonna affect my own customers' communication. And so when you go, once you have your dedicated domains set up, then you go into domain configuration, and this is where you can set up a distribution. So for workflow domains is where I send my cold emails, right? So every new lead goes into a workflow, and then they get a series of emails. What domains do I want that workflow to use? I want them to use all of my cold emails and use them evenly. So I'm distributing the sending of emails across 3 different subdomains. That way we keep them all nice and fresh, and there's no problems with deliverability, and we should be able to protect domain reputation. And if one goes down, we still have 2 others. Does that make sense? Putting not all of your eggs in one basket, right? Now, when it comes to like payments or to having one-on-one conversations, that's where I want to use my support.odigoleads. And that way, I might even add like a billing.odigoleads.com. And that's where I talked about the white label effect earlier. Like you can make it so that it's very intentional. And then there's also a default domain, which you can do just if you want to change it up to use any of these basically as the default. But yeah, that is basically how you set up these domains. And if we were to go into some workflows and you were to create an email and send it to yourself, you'll see that you will have one of these 3 domains if it's from a workflow. If you send a one-on-one message, it's going to come from Mason at support.odigoleads.com. And that just gives it a really good feel. That, like, seeing that as a customer looks really good. And it's going to be, again, protecting your deliverability, and you're going to be able to talk to your clients and reliably. And at the same time, you're also going to be able to take advantage of all of the cold email opportunity that you could have and GoHighLevel. And yeah, it's super straightforward. There used to be some really convoluted way where you had to basically create sub-accounts with emails and then revolve around these domains, but you're able to actually rotate through these domains just through this interface and not make that all super complicated. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, which I'm sure it's complicated, I'm happy to answer any of them. Definitely leave a question in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer it. I answer all the comments, and we can go through everything that you guys have any questions about. Dedicated domains and subdomains and DNS records and domain deliverability can all be a lot. So I just want to make sure that you guys are supported and that you can find the information that you need. I know this video is not the best structured, but I just know that this would be a great introduction if I'd had it 6 months ago when I was doing this stuff. Now you have it, and hopefully that'll make it a little bit easier. You can actually start using GoHighLevel for cold email. You can also use it for contacting your leads that are basically slightly warm, have opted in, and all of that. So I appreciate your time. I thank you guys for watching the video and sticking around to the end. If you guys have any questions, drop them below. Please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks so much. All right, bye.